Okay, hello everyone and welcome to this quick video I'm just throwing together this morning. I wanted to talk about a little bit about my car, but also about the Audi stereotype. I have done a full review on my previous car, which was a Skoda Octavia. That's on my channel. So quickly, I've upgraded to an Audi A4 Avant on a 20 reg. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but it won't be a full review of the car. So firstly, what can we do about this Audi stereotype that they drive around like complete morons, tailgating folks, overtaking dangerously and so on? Well, honestly, the vast majority of Audi drivers realistically are going to be good, and we're just ruined by these morons that drive like that. So realistically, we're never going to alter the stereotype. We'd just be the best we can be. Unfortunately, I think perhaps the Audis attract a certain type of driver, same with BMWs. I'll talk more about that in a minute. So just briefly coming back to my car, it's a 20 plate 2 litre TDI, the 35 TDI model, which is 163 brake. Plenty fast enough for everyday driving. There's no situation really it can't handle well. Great economy. It's a mild hybrid diesel as well, so the battery just assists the engine. I went for Technic spec rather than S-Line because I do have a bit of back trouble and I wanted the superior sort of comfort levels. I've driven an S-Line and it's just a little bit too harsh for my liking. I had the Skoda before. Do I have this attitude now that, oh, I'm superior, I am better because I've got the Audi badge? No, not at all. It's different strokes for different folks. A Skoda, for example, is far superior value for money. You get a lot more car for your money. But the Audi has got superior refinement and ride quality. I can speak from personal experience of that. The wind noise, the road noise, the suspension comfort is all just that little bit higher. The interior, for example, instead of having silver plastic trim, it's all aluminium. It's just that little bit of an upgraded feel, and that's where your money's going, obviously. I think one of the things that attracts those idiotic drivers to this and other premium brands is, one thing I've noticed, this Audi is incredibly stable at speed. Like this is the Octavia I had before, and even a car which was designed for faster pace. I had a Fiesta ST some years ago, and that wasn't as stable at speed as the Audi, so there's that to it. Maybe people think it gives them a sense of invincibility, I don't know, and perhaps the premium status of the badge brings along that certain type of driver. For me, defensive driving versus the wrong mentality of, oh, it's their fault. So what I mean by that is people have got to drive more defensively generally. There's a lot of people who say, well, it's their fault, they were in the way, I am completely blameless. But we have to take the road and drivers as they are, not as we'd like them to be, and we really have to fix their mistakes almost. People do stupid things, it's how we react to them that makes the difference. Another common misconception, of course, is roundabout priority. You give way to traffic approaching from the right. There's a misconception that once you're on the roundabout you have right of way. There is nothing in the highway code about that at all, or driving essential skills. There's absolutely nothing that gives you priority once you're on the roundabout. If you think about it, it's just common sense. You give way to traffic approaching from the right. You need to emerge safely so that you're not causing problems for those vehicles coming from the right. Also, once you're on the roundabout, you don't need to go barreling round it like some people do and blasting the horn at people. But I think what people need to think about, to keep it simple, is this: give way to those from the right, but once you're on the roundabout, if someone emerges poorly and does a bad job, give way to them. That's the simplest way I can put it. So I'm saying all this, am I a top driver? Nope. Definitely not. I am guilty of letting my standards drop when I'm running late for work, for example, or I'm feeling a little bit grouchy. A lot of the things I've learnt and some of the things I've quoted today are courtesy of Ashley Neal, videos. Look at his channel on YouTube. He's got some great videos out there, and they're worthwhile watching. I've improved my standards of driving with things he's said. So what I'm going to do, it's not going to be a long video, I'm just going to drive away now and talk you through some of the things that I'm kind of processing in my mind, things that some drivers won't pick up on necessarily. I'm not feeling the best this morning, got a bit of a headache, so I might make some mistakes myself and then critique myself on them afterwards, but let's get going. So, checking my mirrors, checking my blind spots. There's a car coming, so I'm holding back. If anyone wonders whereabouts I am in the country, I can tell you I'm in Matlock in the Derbyshire Dales. There's a car coming up. It's a bit tight down here with parked cars, so that's a bit of a risk factor. And if you can hear some metal rattling, there's nothing wrong with the car. There's actually a small metal steps in the boot of my car at the minute, so that's what that noise is if it's picked up on the camera. So I'm just slowing down, giving this car plenty to clear. I'm not going to be impatient and try and squeeze around the back of it. There's a pedestrian to my left. Alright, all clear. I didn't indicate either there, as you saw, or when I pulled away, but there was no one around to indicate to. I am guilty of indicating all the time, and I'm trying to knock that on the head a little bit. There's a car behind me now, so I'm indicating. There's time for me to get out before that lorry coming down the hill. 30 limit down here, the car can run away with you. You've just got to be mindful of that. One thing that's quite handy on this Audi is the cruise control automatically brakes to keep the speed at that. So I can set it to 30 and come down the hill, and the car will automatically just apply a slight bit of braking to keep the car at that speed. Obviously that's no excuse to take your eye off the ball. I've got my foot hovering over the brake pedal, and this bend is too tight for me to take at 30. You can't see around it properly, so I'm just easing off. I know there's a turn on the left. Parked vehicles, there's a fire station under construction here. There's a Defender coming up now, so I'm just going to ease off. There's room for me, but I'd prefer to take it steady rather than barge through. Same with this van, nice and steady. Slow sign on the floor, speed low observation warning. That's a backronym rather than an acronym. It's referring to this here, look, and there's the red van. How many people would come barrelling around that corner with the attitude, I've got priority, you pull out, you're wrong? If I uploaded a video, or rather if that, if I uploaded a video and he pulled out and I hadn't done anything about slowing down around that corner, what would people be saying? They'd be saying, well, the van driver's fault, the Audi driver's done absolutely nothing wrong. It's not about what you've done wrong, it's about what you can do better. How can you drive defensively? How can you guard against people making mistakes or doing silly things? And also, just again, something I picked up from one of Ashley's videos, slow, speed low observation warning. It doesn't mean you've got to go slow. You might already be going slow enough for the situation. It's more about warning you that there's an observation issue around a bend, and therefore if you may need to consider slowing down in accordance with the risk. So we've got a lorry in front now, a small lorry. There's a Volkswagen Golf behind me. We're just leaving the town centre area now, coming up to 40 limit. Road's clear in front of the lorry. And there's something about overtaking I'll just touch on as well, because sometimes I have encountered farm vehicles or slow lorries once we get onto the national speed limit roads. Something Ashley's picked up on as well. If you overtake, you need to get it done. You need to obviously make sure it's safe and clear to do so. But if that means you are exceeding the speed limit for a brief period of time, just to get past that lorry, and then pull back in, is off, that's fine. Obviously you don't sharp brake in front of the lorry, but for example, if the lorry's doing 30 and a 50 and you overtake it 50, you're not going to get the job done as quick. If you go past it at a more progressive pace and then pull back in, there's no police officer going to do you for that unless they're there with an actual speed camera at the time, in which case if you've not spotted a speed camera you're not doing your observations well enough. Obviously on that point I've just made, you've got to be sensible. You're not going to be able to justify going past a lorry doing 30 and a 50 and doing about 80. You get the point, it's proportionality. So there's another slow sign coming up on the road here. It's actually very faded, but I know the area so I know what it's about. Another thing people often think is, oh, you're in a 30 or a 40 or whatever the speed limit is, why are you going slower? You need to be up to speed. Only if it's safe to do so. The speed limit is just that, it's a limit, it's not a target to aim for. Something I was going to mention, it'll probably become apparent as well as we drive further on this journey. If a car's coming out, this is again something I picked up from Ashley's videos, if a car's coming out of a side turning, don't have the sense, well, I'm on a main road, they've got to give way, they can't pull out on me. They might do. Just because they're not supposed to doesn't mean they won't. And you've got to think, have they seen me? That's an attitude to take. Have they made eye contact? Have they seen your vehicle? And that will give you an indication of whether it's safe. Ease off a little bit. It doesn't mean you've got to slam the brakes on. Just be ready. Expect the unexpected. Also, another little tip is if you see a car edging out, so you can see the bonnet but you can't see the driver yet, on particularly tight roads like these obscured with bushes, sound the horn. Not in an aggressive way, not in a blast the horn at them like a lot of people do. Just a couple of quick taps of the horn, because then you are alerting them to your presence. They can't see you, so use the horn for that purpose which it is designed for. So we're onto the open road here. I'm building up towards 50 now. Lorry's made a bit of space on me, so I'll pick up a little bit of speed, but I'm not going to get too close. There is a crossroads coming up here, and there has been many an accident on these crossroads. So I'm just easing off. There's a car just pulled off there. I can't see anybody else coming, but I'm looking to the side, seeing if I can see any vehicles through the trees, just to give me an advance heads up, but it's all clear. Lorry in the lay-by, is he pulling out? No, he's not. But again, how many people would just barrel through? He's pulling out, it's his fault. You've got to be ready. Car in the lay-by on the opposite side of the road, how is that a factor? Well, what if he'd have pulled out into the path of that van? And then the van swerves and comes onto my side of the road. You can't guard against absolutely everything. There are some factors beyond your control, but it's just being mindful of the risk. So we've got another slow sign there. This is a very sharp bend. And there's a turn in there, which is likely what the slow sign is referring to. Again, it's an observation warning. There's another one here. I'm backing off because the lorry is slowing quite a lot down there. You've got a turn off on the left here that's obscured. There it is. too. Actually, there's a farm track plus that side turning. You've got a slow sign here. What's this for? There's a pub on the left. There's a turn in there. Turn in there and the car park on the left. There's not much behind me. There is an Alfa Romeo now closing down, but he's at a good distance, no issue. Nobody emerging from this turn on the left as it stands. Another thing I'm often mindful of with this corner here is if you see a really big vehicle, perhaps a lorry, or as in a large lorry, or a really big coach, say with a lot of tourists on, because Matlock's a tourist town, be careful of meeting at the same point at the same time, because a really big vehicle I've noticed there sometimes ended up having to come onto this side of the road in order to make the bend. And if I've seen the vehicle coming, I'll ease off and let that coach clear that bend before I'll go around it. And sometimes I've noticed vehicles behind me almost like looking at me, gone out as if to say, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't you continuing? Which shows that their observations aren't good enough. They've not realised the risk of arriving at the same point at the same time. So we're coming into Wessington now, so I'm just dropping down to 30. I've noticed the pedestrian lights ahead are on red. So there's no point going barrelling up to the lights and sitting there. I'm going to ease off now when the lights have changed. Notice the lorry did the same. It's a good way by the lorry in front. Another slow sign. What's that for? Let's have a look. Gate on the opposite side of the road, driveway is here. There's always a reason for it. Sometimes there'll be more than one reason. Just be mindful of that. The Alfa Romeo is still a good distance behind me. There's no change at the back. Another sharp turn here. Sometimes vehicles, I've noticed, come zooming out of here without proper observations. I'm going to join the A38 as well once I get to the Watchorn Island at Alfreton. So we'll do a bit of discussion over the A38 for a short run, and then I'll probably end the video there just so everybody isn't bored to death. Lorry coming the other way. Sometimes they need a little bit more room. The size of them, you've got bushes and trees overhanging, they might need to stray slightly over the line. You just be ready for that. Turn off on the left just over the brow of this hill here. Mindful of that. Left in my seat slightly just to make sure no one was barrelling through from the opposite direction. I've seen that happen before, and that's key. Sometimes you've got to move around in your seat because you've got these pillars on either side which can obscure the view. You could have somebody hidden by that pillow. I've had pillar. I've had that happen before, and it's mistakes I've learned from. So try and move around in your seat a little bit just to make sure you're clear. Okay, so I'm indicating right. You've got vehicles here. Some will take this little slip road to the left towards Matlock. Some will come straight on. There's no one coming at the minute, but what you've got to do there is be mindful that don't just look at the first car. Look at the ones behind it. Are they indicating? What's their body language like? I'm moving left to give this lorry a little more room. Pick up on the clues because some of them might come straight on. They're not all going to take that turn off to the left. Clear sign on the floor here. I can clear that, no problem. The lorry's gone into the other one slightly, but it's not going to cause any issue because the lights aren't going to be on red for very long. Now, I've stopped behind this lorry so that I can see both the top and the bottom of the lorry, from the tyres right to the top of the vehicle. Why is that important? Well, a lot of driving instructors have this sort of mantra of tyres on tarmac, so you're not too close to the vehicle in front. It gives you options if perhaps they break down. The only problem with tyres on tarmac is if it's a large vehicle, you might see the tyres on the tarmac, you might not be able to see the top of the vehicle. But if you can see all of it on a big vehicle, you've got that little bit more manoeuvring space. Slow sign here, there's plenty of room behind me, no issues there. Something to be mindful of actually is knowing what's around you, particularly useful on a motorway. If you're on a motorway, you've got to think ahead. What if a vehicle pulls out into my path? Have I got an escape route? So for example, you're driving along, perhaps the vehicle on the lane inside that you're about to overtake is closing the vehicle in front. You think ahead, you can think, can I change lanes? Preempt it, because you know he's going to pull out. Or, if you can't, because you can't pull out because there's vehicles at the side of you, then you've already made that observation, so you know perhaps ease off, anticipate it. Now what's this guy doing on the vehicle here? Is it clear ahead? Yes, it is. I'm just making sure he wasn't going to suddenly dart out to the lorry. I had to lean right in my seat there just to make sure there wasn't like a motorbike or something zooming up. That van is indicating, yeah. Lights are on green, so what are they likely to do? Change to red before I get there. There's good distance for the vehicle behind me. No, we're through. No problems. Fire engine coming round, but he's not on a code blue. Am I clear to the right? Yes, absolutely nothing coming. I'm indicating left. Now, although this is an automatic, what I find useful sometimes is to be in manual mode. I've got paddle shifters, I can lock it in the same gear, because if you need to go quickly, you need to make swift progress to clear a problem, you've got quicker acceleration because you're not waiting for the kick down. Well, clear in the outside lane, I've done a shoulder check, I'm all clear. I've moved around in my seat, so I'm going to continue out. I'm going to pick up speed now. Change up into 6. Coming back in. There's a big vehicle ahead which was slightly obscured by the grass there. I'm back into automatic mode now. And there is a lane here, so I'm indicating right, he is going off, but just gives me a bit of extra breathing space, and I'm staying out here until I know what's going off with the slip road. There's no point coming back in at that point. I'm also closing these vehicles down, so I'm staying out. come all right behind me. I'm easing off slightly. Now I'm taking the next junction, so there is no point in me staying out here, because if you look, there's a lorry trying to overtake a lorry. So I'm indicating, I'm coming back in. I'm mindful of that Freelander just in case he decided to pull out. There's a Tesla coming past me on the right hand side. He's making quick progress. What if he darts in front of me? I'm going to leave a gap just in case he does. I'm going to put an indicator on. I've got a Vauxhall Corsa, I think it is, closing in from behind, so he's going to know what I'm doing, my intentions. There's a good gap, however, there's no risk, or little risk I should say. So I'm taking the exit. Quite a sharp exit this. Sharp turn. Indicator on. There is a vehicle just coming up behind. It's all clear to my right. Nice and steady off the roundabout, and there we go. Right, I think I'll leave it there because I'm mindful it's been a long video. Not everybody's interested in this sort of subject. I'll just go past this vehicle. I've got time before the BMW without causing him any problems. And I will end the video there, and I'll try and do some more in due course. So thank you for watching. I'll see you later.